Here, how do you contrast what we're also hearing, and actually when I just came from the lecture before this about the skills gap, the idea that a liberal education is dying, is going to be extinct, and that everything now is going to coding, skills-based, a way to get a job as opposed to get an education. And that a theory that I heard, and I actually heard it through a meeting we had with McKinsey that's being espoused, not by them, but by someone who brought it to them, that if you look out 20 years, you're going to see elite institutions like the ones you work for, and then you're going to see technical schools. That the sort of average schools are simply not going to be able to sustain themselves.
That's a really interesting question. There was a fascinating study that Google did of its workforce in which they were looking at the level of success various employees had and their college major, and they found out that so-called liberal arts majors were more successful on the whole than the employees that had technical majors. I think we're in a really interesting moment of transition where certain technical skills are going to become as basic to education as, say, English, writing has been. But that doesn't mean that that's the whole of education. It is a tool, but critical thinking, understanding of perspectives other than your own, global sophistication, numerical fluency are also equally important.
If I could just insert here as the moderator, taking just a note of permission, and thinking about the gentleman's question over here, who's the undergraduate, along with this idea about skills. So it's at Stanford, where I teach. In the past couple of years, it's now 40% of the undergraduate body is majoring in computer science. And you might think that there's this huge economic payoff to it. The liberal arts aspiration of the university is being threatened. And I mean, just as folks here were saying, when I'd say to you over here, well, it seems like the techies and the fuzzies is what they call them at Stanford. The techies in STEM and the fuzzies in the humanities and social sciences. And the idea here is that the advances in artificial intelligence are just as likely to put out of business the coders who work currently in getting these initial tools and skills as it would be for someone driving a truck. And if you want to have a financial or an economic reason to think about getting a liberal arts education, you would think about acquiring a portfolio of talents, of working in teams and collaboration, of having critical thinking skills so you can pose questions to yourself that then your tools can solve, pose socially worthwhile questions. And then there's just the hallowed tradition of a broad-based education so that you can discover the things that are going to drive your interests over a long lifetime, which, given the economy, is almost certainly going to change. It's an old truism now that no one graduating from Stanford, from Yale, from Berkeley, from F&M is going to have the same employer for 50 years after the age of 21. So unless you're prepared for transition, which a liberal arts education is great at, directing your own learning over a long horizon, just harnessing skills for what the job market wants now is a recipe for your own extinction.
There's a really interesting article by the Nobel Prize-winning chemist, Tom Cech, in which he went to a liberal arts college. He went to Grinnell. And this article is a statistical analysis of the number of scientific leaders that went to liberal arts colleges. And he hypothesizes that a liberal arts education is really important for scientists, not because you get cultured scientists who really like to go to the opera and read novels, but that they're better scientists because they're used to changing their frame of reference with the different kinds of methodologies and assumptions of different disciplines.
I developed an informal PhD in clinical psychology of talking to parents about their children's career choices at Franklin Marshall College, and any of you are welcome to sign up if you'd like for a session. One of the things that I really came to see is that when students follow their curiosity, follow what excites them and interests them, no limits.
Great things happen.
Great things happen.